Another thing that dark occultists want to prevent people from understanding is how our reality is actually built. How we, together in the aggregate, in aggregate numbers, meaning collectively as a species, co-create our reality that we are experiencing on the earth together as a people. You hear this notion in the New Age movement, the law of attraction. That a lot of the New Age people want people to believe we're individually creating our reality all by ourselves. Mark Passio does not create Mark Passio's reality entirely what I experience by myself, by how I think. Other people are involved in that process. It's a co-creative process. Okay? Because if someone randomly does something violent to me, I did not create that experience. This is a total misunderstanding of the law of attraction, how the law of attraction works. All right, free will is involved. I can do something completely random. So can other people, because they have the capacity for free will behavior. So we're not creating our reality individually at an individuated level. Based upon the knowledge that we take in, based upon our understanding of that knowledge, and then based upon what we do in our behaviors with that knowledge, in the aggregate numbers, determines how a society is creating its reality for itself. It happens on a societal scale. So dark occultists know how this principle operates, and that's why there's the level they always want to control reality from. That's the level of reality that if you're a dark occultist that you want to get to, that you want to poison the stream of, that you want to limit access to, that you want to dissuade people from looking into, it's the knowledge itself. What I'm going to build here in this slide is actually the trivia. It's the ancient trivia methodology of truth discovery, which I also broke down in my natural law seminar. It's called knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. In the modern trivium, it's referred to as grammar, logic, and rhetoric. There's also what I call a computer analogy model of the trivium, which is input, processing, and output. They're all ultimately the same thing. So this is the grammar or input step of the trivium method. It's taking in all the seemingly disparate pieces of information that are out there. You're gathering your grammar, you're gathering your different pieces of your vocabulary. Available information constitutes potential knowledge that we can gather, that we can process, that we can come to understand, and then that we can act upon. If we don't do that, we have ignorance. We haven't even looked at it. So the opposite of knowledge is total ignorance. You haven't even begun looking into it. The second level of how our reality is built is it's built atop knowledge. On top of that knowledge as a foundation, you either have a grasp or an understanding of those principles or you do not. So you either learn what that knowledge means and how it works, or you don't have a deep understanding of that. So these are decision-making, filtering processes. This is the logic step of the trivium, or in the computing analogy model, this would be the processing step. These processes take place in the human mind and are chosen by each individual based upon the available information that they have taken in. So if you haven't done your grammar, or you haven't aggregated your knowledge in step number one of this process, you can't possibly do the processing and come to an understanding of it. That's why so many people have no understanding of the principles of the occult sciences, because they haven't even started beginning to learn what the occult is or what it contains. So you can't possibly arrive at an understanding of how the universe works if you haven't gathered that knowledge. Then the third step in this process is acting. Actually taking action based upon your understanding. Each individual in a society, each individual's behavior is based upon the quality of their decision-making processes that they exercise in step number two. which in turn were based on the quality of the available information which they took in. Now again, notice, wisdom is action. It's different than knowledge. It's different than understanding. All right? Knowledge is something that exists inherently, and you can take it in objectively. Understanding is an internal process that goes on within the self, based upon the knowledge that you've taken in and processed. And then wisdom is action. It's what you do in the world with the knowledge that you have accrued and understood. So again, I put here, or lack thereof, in every one of these blocks. The lack of knowledge is ignorance. The lack of understanding is confusion. And the lack of wisdom is folly. So one more level above that is what we get, based upon what we've done. What is manifested? What is generated? What do we experience? The manifested reality. It's the quality of the conditions that we experience. And the quality of the condition which manifests collectively in our society, in any society, is based upon the aggregate quality of behavior within that society. So again, it's a stepwise progression. What we've taken in, what we've come to understand, how we behave, what we get. I tell people this is the most powerful slide in all my work. If you understand one slide, deeply, deeply understand this process, because this is what the dark occultists do not want people to understand. That's the real law of attraction, folks. Not the New Age variant of it, not the New Age hokum mysticism. I want to sell 1 million billion books telling people what they want to hear, law of attraction. Okay? This is how the universe actually works inherently. And it describes not only how it works, but our relationship to that process. And this is what they don't want you to know. That's the most deeply hidden information. Because natural law is contained within that. Because as the aggregate quality of behavior is immoral, slavery is the manifestation. That's why we're at where we are at. Because so many people aren't truly moral individuals. They don't really deeply know the difference between right and wrong behavior and choose the right over the wrong. So, as long as they can keep that back from the bulk of humanity, from deeply understanding, they're always going to be in control. Until this becomes common knowledge of how the universe really works and how our experience is really generated. And we understand as in the aggregate we become more and more moral of a civilization, then our civilization becomes more free as we become more moral. And we understand how those governing dynamics bring to us the overall quality of our aggregate experience. That's when we're making progress as a species. That's when we're breaking out of mind control. And that's when we're countering the dark occultists' great work.